In this video, we're going to solve problems related to areas and perimeters of rectangles. So to start, I want to check that you can calculate areas and perimeters and solve some simpler problems than the ones we're going to do in this video. So please do these 6 questions in your exercise book. Now, pause the video while you do that and press play once you're ready. You should have now done, or at least attempted, these 6 questions. I'm going to go through each of these questions one by one. While I go through them, you might pause the video and have another go once you think you now understand how to do it. So firstly, to find the area of this rectangle, we just multiply the 2 lengths together. So we have a longer side length of 8 and a shorter side length of 7. So we multiply those side lengths together to get 8 times 7, which is 56. In this question, I've not specifically been told centimeters or meters or millimeters, so I'm just going to write 56 units squared because I don't know what the units are. So I'm just going to write 56 units squared. So that's how you find area. You do the area of a rectangle. You do the longer length multiplied by the shorter length. The next question looks like this. A rectangle has a shorter side length of 6. If the area of the rectangle is 240, find the longer side length. So I'm just going to sketch that so you can see a picture of it. It's got a shorter side length of 6 centimeters and a longer side length that we don't know. So I'm going to call that X. And it's got an area of 240 centimeters squared. Now, if you haven't yet done this problem, pause the video now and have a go. Press play once you're ready. You should have now had a go at this problem. So we have 6 multiplied by X equals 240. The shorter length times the longer length equals 240. So to find that longer length, we just need to do 240 divided by 6. We're doing all of the work today without a calculator. 240 divided by 6 is 40 centimeters. Notice that I've included the units, centimeters, on my answer. You can't just leave your answer as a number. You need to include centimeters, or if the units were millimeters, you'd need to include millimeters. If at this point you've missed out any of the other 4 questions, pause the video, have another go at those 4 questions, and press play once you're ready. For this question here, we're told the perimeter of the rectangle, and we first need to find the missing length. So if you remember, perimeter is what? Perimeter is, you should have said perimeter is the length around a 2D shape, or the distance around a 2D shape. So let's do that again. Perimeter is the distance around a 2D shape. So I'm going to fill in the missing lengths. So what is this length over here? Say your answer to the video now. You should have said that this length over here is also A. And what is this length over here? Say your answer to the video now. You should have said that this length is also 14. So what we have all together is 14 plus A plus A equals 36. So we have 14 plus 14, which is what? Say your answer to the video. You should have said 28. We've got 28 plus these 2 sides, which both have length A, equals 36, which means those 2 sides together must equal 36 minus 28. What's 36 minus 28? Say your answer to the video now. You should have said 8. Therefore, A is half of 8, which is 4 centimeters. Now, I've used algebra to solve this, but you don't need to write it out using this proper algebra. You can just think about it like this. You can say, well, the perimeter is the total length around the shape. I already have these 2 sides, which add up to 28. So those 2 sides add up to 28. How much is left over? Well, 36 minus 28 equals 8. And that's split between these two sides, this one and this one. So we've got these two sides, which together make 8. So therefore each of those two sides must be half of 8, which is 4. So you can do it the algebraic way like I did in blue, or you can just think about it by adding together what you know and then minusing that from the total perimeter to find what you're left with. Part B was calculating the area of the rectangle. So for that, you just need to multiply the longer length and the shorter length. So now we know that A is 4 centimeters. How are we going to find the area? Say your answer to the video now. You should have said by doing 14 times 4, which is 56. What are the units that I should write after 56? Say your answer to the video now. You should have said centimeters squared. So that's the final answer. So I started with the perimeter, worked out the missing length, and then found the area. I'm going to underline my answers so it's clear what my answers are. Please mark your answer and press play once you're ready. So for this question, you were asked to find the area of a square of side 14 millimeters. So if you weren't sure about this, I'm going to firstly just sketch that square. So here's the square, and I'm told that this side is 14 millimeters. So my first question is, what is this side? Say your answer to the video now. You should have said that it's also 14 millimeters. What about this side and this side? What are their lengths? Say your answer to the video now. You should have also said that those sides are 14 millimeters as well, because this is a square, and a square has all sides the same length. So 14 millimeters and 14 millimeters. So how do you find the area of this square? Say your answer to the video now. You should have said we do 14 times 14. What's another way of writing that? Say your answer to the video now. Hopefully you've said 14 squared. Now we don't use a calculator for any of these problems. If you aren't sure what 14 squared is, you can do a quick Jalosia. Please pause the video to do that now. Press play once you're ready. You should have now done your quick Jalosia to work out what 14 times 14 is. So 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times 1 is 1. 1 times 4 is 4. Then I add the diagonals. So 6, 9, 1, 0. So altogether we get 196. What are the units that I need to put on that? Say your answer to the video now. So it's area, so the units are millimeters squared. And that's my answer. So simply, I just had to do 14 squared because the area of a square is just the side length squared. That's why the word squared is the word squared, by the way. 14 squared is called 14 squared because it means if you have a square of side length 14, what is its area? That's where the word squared comes from. Here's the next question. So the first thing you were asked to do was find the side length, then the perimeter. If you struggled with this, hopefully you'll now know how to do it. So pause the video to have another go and press play once you're ready. So for part A, we had to find the side length. So the idea is that the side length squared must be the area. So we have some square. We have a side length that we don't know. Let's call it x. And the area is 225. So that means x squared equals 225. If x squared is 225, what's x? Say your answer to the video now. X must be 15 centimeters. If you weren't sure how to do that without a calculator, if you didn't know straight away that it was 15, you could just try something. You could say, well, 10 squared is 100, and 11 squared is 121, 12 squared is 144. So it must be bigger than that. And you could try 13, 14, 15 until you get the answer. So just try a few until you get the answer. Now we need to find the perimeter. So if you haven't yet done that, pause the video to do that now. So you should have now found the perimeter of the square. So you've got 4 sides. Each of those sides has a length of what? Say your answer to the video. Each of those sides has a length of 15 centimeters. and there's 4 sides altogether. So if there's 4 sides, each of length 15 centimeters, how do we work out the total area? Say your answer. How do we work out the total perimeter? Say your answer to the video now. So you should have said either we can do 15 times 4, or we can add 15 together 4 times. Either way, get the same total, which is what? Say your answer to the video. You should have said 60. And what are the units for this perimeter? Say your answer to the video now. You should have said centimeters because that was the units in the question. Remember, if it's length or perimeter, it's just centimeters, but if it's area, it's centimeters squared. Or if the question was in millimeters, if it was a length or a perimeter, the units would be, say your answer to the video, millimeters, but if it was an area, the units would be millimeters squared. This was the final question, and you were supposed to do this without a calculator. So firstly, we've been given the perimeter, and then we need to find the area. If you struggled with this, pause the video and have another go now. Press play once you're ready. You should have now had a good go at this question. So we have a square. It's got 4 sides, which when added together makes 26.12. So we've got x plus x plus x plus x, or 4x. So 4 lots of x makes 26.12. Which means x must be 26.12 divided by 4. So this perimeter is made up of 4 sides. So to find out what each side is, I do 26.12 divided by 4. Let's do that using the bus stop method. Which number goes inside the bus stop? Say your answer to the video now. Hopefully you've said 26.12 because remember, the number at the top goes in the bus stop. Let's do that together. The number at the top, the number at the top, the number at the top goes in the bus stop. So let's do this division. Pause the video to do it. Press play once you're ready. So 4 into 2 doesn't go. 4 into 26 goes 6 because 6 times 4 is 24. Remainder 2. You must remember to put the decimal point here. 4 into 21 is 5 because 4 times 5 is 20. Remainder 1. And 4 into 12 is 3. So I've got 6.53. So that is the side length. What are the units of that? Say your answer to the video. So the units are millimeters. So we have a side length of 6.53 millimeters. So now to find the area, we need to do that side length squared. Pause the video to work that out. Press play once you're ready. So for this, you should have used Gelosia, but we're going to need a 3 by 3 grid because 6.53 is a 3-digit number. So I'm going to put 6.53 along the top and 6.53 along the side. I'm going to put in the diagonals. You're going to do the multiplications with me, so please say your answer to each one to the screen. 3 times 6, 18. 3 times 5, 15. 3 times 3, 9. 5 times 6, 30. 5 times 5, 25. 5 times 3, 15. 6 times 6, 36. 6 times 5, 30. 6 times 3, 18. We now add the diagonals, so that makes 9. 5 plus 5 is 10. 0 carry 1. This one I'm going to be careful because it's a big one. 8 plus 1 is 9, plus 5 is 14, plus 1 is 15, plus 8 is 23, plus 1 is 24. Then I have 1 plus 2 is 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 4. And then for my decimal point, I go down from this one, left from this one until they meet, and I go down the diagonal. There I have my answer. So I need to write it out to make it clear. So my answer is 42.6409. So please mark your own answer. If you made a mistake, try and work out where exactly it was. It's most likely to have been in your division or your multiplication. So now we're going to move on to some different problems which you won't yet have seen. I'm going to do this example fully by myself. Pause the video to read the question. Press play once you've read it. So I have a rectangle with an area of 42 centimeters squared, but I don't know what the lengths are. But I can work them out because I just need to find two numbers which multiply together to make 42. In other words, I need to find the factor pairs. If I find the factor pairs, I find all the possibilities. So all I need to do is find all the factors of 42. That's how you solve a problem like this. So I'm going to do them in pairs. So I could have 1 times 42. Does 2 go into 42? Yes, it does, because it ends with a 2. So we've got 2 times 21. Does 3 go into 42? So I add the two digits together. 4 plus 2 is 6. 6 divides by 3, so does 42. And I need to work out 3 times what? So I just have to think, well, 3 times 12 is 36. So 3 times 13 must be 39, and 3 times 14 is 42. Does 4 go into 42? Well, it's not in the 4 times table, so no. Does 5 go into 42? No, it doesn't end with a 0 or 5. Does 6 go into 42? Yep, it's in the 6 times table, so it's 6 times 7. And there's no numbers between 6 and 7, so there's nothing else to check. So those are my factor pairs. So those are my 4 solutions. I could have 1 centimeter and 42 centimeters. That would make an area of 42. I could have 2 centimeters and 21 centimeters. That would make an area of 42. I could have 3 centimeters and 14 centimeters. That would give an area of 42. And I could have 6 centimeters and 7 centimeters. That would also give an area of 42. So there are 4 possible integer measurements of a rectangle with an area of 42. Notice I asked for integer measurements. What are integers? Say your answer to the video. Integers. Integers. You should have said integers, whole numbers. The reason why I had to say integer measurements is if I'd asked for non-integer measurements, that means decimals or fractions, there would actually be infinite possibilities because there are infinite numbers. So I could have chosen 0.879 multiplied by 47.78156,997, and that would have worked as well. And there's infinite possibilities that would have worked. So I had to ask specifically for the integer measurements. We're going to do one of these together now. So this question, pause the video to read the question. Press play once you're ready. So how do we do this? How do we find all the possible integer measurements which make an area of 28 millimeters squared? Say your answer to the video now. You should have said that we need to find all the factor pairs. So let's do that together. Does 1 go into 28? Say your answer to the video. Yes, it does. How many times does 1 go into 28? You should have said 28. Does 2 go into 28? Say your answer to the video. Yes, it does. How do you know? Because it ends with an 8. It's an even number. How many times does 2 go into 28? Say your answer to the video. 2 goes into 28 14 times because half of 28 is 14. Does 3 go into 28? Say your answer to the video now. No, it doesn't, because it's not in the 3 times tables. Does 4 go into 28? Say your answer to the video now. Yes, it does, because it's in the 4 times tables. And 4 times what makes 28? You should have said 7. We've only got 2 more numbers between 4 and 7 to check, which is 5 and 6. Does 5 go into 28? Yes or no? No, it doesn't. And does 6 go into 28? No, it doesn't. So those are all my possibilities. Now, what are the actual measurements of these lengths? What are the units of these lengths? Say your answer to the video now. You should have said millimeters because the area was in millimeters squared. So therefore I have 1 millimeter and 28 millimeters. That would give me an area of 28 millimeters squared. 2 millimeters and 14 millimeters. That's another possibility. And the third possibility is 4 millimeters and 7 millimeters. You're now going to do one example completely by yourself. Please pause the video to do this example. Press play once you're ready. You should have now done this example completely by yourself, and you should have found the factors of 20 in pairs. So you should have got 1 centimeter and 20 centimeters. You should have got 2 centimeters and 10 centimeters. And you should have got 4 centimeters and 5 centimeters. Those are the 3 possibilities. So we're now going to take what we've just done and we're going to go even further. So pause the video to read this question, press play once you're ready. So I'm going to do this question fully by myself. So I've been given the area, and I've also been given the perimeter. So instead of just being given the area and trying to find all the possibilities, there's now only going to be one possibility which will work. But the first thing I'm going to do is work out all the possibilities like I did before. So I'm going to find out all the factors of 18 in pairs. So I've got 1 and 18, I've got 2 and 9, I've got 3 and 6, 4 doesn't go into 18 and neither does 5. So those are my possibilities. And now all I need to do is find which of those rectangles would actually give me a perimeter of 22. So I'm going to think about them. So if I had a rectangle with 1 and 18, the perimeter of that rectangle would be 18 plus 1, which is 19, and then times that by 2 because you've also got this side and this side. So that would be 38. So the perimeter of this rectangle would be 38. So that one is wrong. I can try the 2 times 9. So the 2 by 9. So that would also be 2 and that would also be 9. So that would have a perimeter. So if I do 9 plus 2, which is 11, and times it by 2, that makes 22. So yeah, that one's right. I can just check that the other one doesn't work, just to be sure. So 3 and 6. So that's also 3 and that's also 6. So 6 plus 3 is 9, and then times 2 is 18. So it's not that one, which means it must be the 9 by 2. So my final answer is 9 centimeters and 2 centimeters. So what I did all together is I firstly found all the possibilities which would make an area of 18 centimeters squared by finding all the factor pairs of 18. And then I just worked out which of those factor pairs would give me a perimeter of 22. We're now going to do an example together. So we're just going to do question 1 together. Please pause the video to try question 1. Press play once you're ready. So you should have now tried question 1, but we're going to do it together. So firstly, I have an area of 36 millimeters squared. What should I do with that area of 36 millimeters squared? Say your answer to the video. You should have said that I need to find all the factor pairs. If you've not yet done that, pause the video to find all the factor pairs of 36. Press play once you're ready. You should have now found all the factor pairs of 36. You should have found 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, 5 doesn't go into 36, and we also have 6 times 6. So I'm going to write that because a 6 by 6 wouldn't be a rectangle, it would be a square, but actually a square is a type of rectangle. A square is a type of rectangle, so I'm going to include that as well. So those are all my possibilities. Now what do I do? Say your answer to the video. You should have said something along the lines of that I need to go through each of these possibilities and work out what the perimeter would be for that possibility. So you don't need to draw the rectangles yourself, but that's what I'm going to do. So if I had a 1 by 36, what would the perimeter of that rectangle be? Pause the video to work it out. Press play once you're ready. So you should have worked out that the perimeter of this rectangle would be 36 plus 1, which is 37, and then times 2, which would be 74, and it will be millimeters, because that's what we got in the question. That's because that side's 1 and that side's 36. So we have 1 plus 36 plus 1 plus 36, which is the same as 37 times 2, which is 74 millimeters. So it's not that one. Let's do the 2 by 18 now. So we've got 2 and 18. Please work out the perimeter of that rectangle. Pause the video while you do that. You should have now worked out the perimeter of this rectangle. So 2 plus 18 is 20, and 20 times 2 is 40. Oh, we've got it. So you know what? I'm just going to stop there. I've got it. That's the answer. So it's 2 by 18. But the question doesn't say what are the lengths of the sides. It says find the length of just the longer side. So which of those sides is the longer side? Say your answer to the video now. So you should have said that the longer side is 18 millimeters. So that is my final answer. Please now try questions 2 and 3. Pause the video while you do that. Press play once you're ready. You should have now done questions 2 and 3. Here are the answers. Please pause the video to mark your work. Press play once you're done. If you got either question 2 or 3 wrong, please carry on listening to this video. If you got them right, you've now done everything in the video. Please like and subscribe, and you'll get more videos about Key Stage 3 maths. Now, if you got either question 2 or 3 wrong, stay on the video and I'll explain them. So for question 2, we first need to find all the possibilities that make an area of 24. So I find the factor pairs of 24, 1 and 24, 2 and 12, 3 and 8, 4 and 6. Those are all the possibilities. I then say, which of these give me a perimeter of 50? So if you do 1 and 24, 24 plus 1 is 25, 25 times 2 is 50. So it's that one. I could just check the others don't work. So what would be the perimeter of that rectangle? Pause the video to work it out. Press play once you're done. The perimeter of that rectangle would be, well, 12 plus 2 is 14, and 14 times 2 is 28. What would be the perimeter of this rectangle? Pause the video to work it out. Press play once you're ready. The perimeter of this rectangle would be 8 plus 3, which is 11, times 2, which is 22. And what would be the perimeter of this rectangle? Pause the video to work it out. Press play once you're ready. So you should have found that the perimeter of this rectangle is 10 times 2, which is 20. So therefore, the one which works is the 24 centimeter and 1 centimeter rectangle. That shouldn't be that. But again, this one. And finally, question 3, the perimeter of a square of area 81. Well, if it's got an area of 81, what must the side length be? Say your answer to the video now. Well, hopefully you've said that if you've got a square, and this side is x and this side is x, the area is x squared, and that is 81. Now, if x squared is 81, x must be the square root of 81, which is 9. Now that we know that the side length is 9, we can work out the perimeter. There are 4 sides, and each of those sides has a length of 9, 9, 9, 9, and 9. So you can either add 9 together 4 times, or just do 9 times 4, which is 36 millimeters. If you found any of that tricky, I recommend that you re-watch and redo the examples. Once you've done that, you've finished this video, please like and subscribe to get more videos on Key Stage 3 Maths.